Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Oh, this says disappeared. This is the appearance of Gadadhar Pandit today. So we wanted to talk about this amazing personality who came just over 500 years ago. This is a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 141. Gadadhar Panditadi Prabhura Nija Shakti Tan Sabara Charani Mora Sahasra Panati. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the internal potencies of the Lord, of whom Sri Gadadhar Prabhu is the foremost. So the Lord has many potencies, and three of the most prominent are internal potency, the external potency, and the marginal potency. So the marginal potency is like us, the Jivatmas. The external potency is the material world, and the internal potency is like Shrimati Radharani or Gadadhar Pandit in this case. So there's another verse by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Smara Gaura Gadadhar Kelikalam Bhava Gaura Gadadhar Pakshacharam Shrunu Gaura Gadadhar Charu Katham Bhaja Godru Makanana Kunja Vitum. Remember the wonderful pastimes of Gaur and Gadadhar. Become a servant of Gaur Gadadhar. Listen to the beautiful narrations concerning Gaur and Gadadhar and worship Lord Gaura, the beautiful moon of the groves of Godrum. So he appeared on the dark moon of the day of the month of Vaishak. Gadadhar Pandit's father's name was Madhav's Mishra. His mother's name was Sri Ratnavali Devi. They initially lived in Bangladesh, but moved close to the house of Jagannath Mishra in Mayapur when Gadadhar was young. Sri Ratnavati Devi looked upon Sachi Devi as her big sister. The two of them were always spending time with each other. And that's at the time of his childhood pastimes, Gauranga used to often play with Gadadhar Pandit. They both went to the same school together, and that school is Ganga Das Pandit School, to study. Gadadhar was a year younger than Gauranga. He had so much affection for Gauranga that he could not leave his company even for a moment. They were inseparable until school started. And this is Gaur Gadadhar. This is installed by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, I believe in Mayapur. In his Gaura Ganadesha Dipika, Kavi Kannapura describes the identity of the various personalities in Gaura Leela. He states that Gadadhar is the incarnation of Radha, the daughter of Vrishabhanu and Kirtida. This is confirmed by Swarup Damodar and Vasudeva Ghosh. So we just sang the bhajan written by Swarup Damodar, the Gadadhar Astakam. When Krishna came as Gaura, Radha came as Gadadhar. Knowing that Krishna would not be able to handle her internal bhav, Radha gave her bodily golden complexion to protect the Lord. So Gauranga was golden. The blackish color of Krishna was covered by the golden hue of Radha. But still concerned, Radha also came as Gadadhar and was constantly with Gauranga. Why not worship Gaura Gadadhar instead of Gaura Nitai? Srila Prabhupada knew we are not qualified to worship Gaura Gadadhar. We must approach Gaura Nitai. So here, the Panchatattva, this is in Mayapur. We have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the center, Nityananda. On his right, on his left, on his far right is Advaitacharya. And on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's left is Gadadhar Pandit. And then we have Srivas Thakur. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, Balaram is Nityananda, Mahavishnu and Sadashiv is Chaitanya and Advaitacharya. Radharani is Gadadhar Pandit. And Narad Muni is personification of Srivas Thakur. Out of them, these three here are Vishnu Tattva. Gadadhar is the internal potency, and Narad Muni represents the marginal potency. So how does the Panchatattva impact our lives? This is very interesting. Advaita, he is Bhakta Avataram. He prays for us. Advaita prayed for us. When he called out to Chaitanya, he was praying for us. Nityananda is Swarupakam. He talks to us, preaches to us about Krishna, Chaitanya, and revolutionizes our life. Srivas Thakur is the Bhakta. When we are preached to by some devotee, then we get a book and we go to the temple. In the temple, Srivas Thakur, or the Bhakta, he allows us to do some seva. So Gadadhar is Bhakta Shaktikam, who can allow us to go deeper and develop our love for the Lord by studying, by service, by more deeper service. And Chaitanya is Bhakta Rupa, is the object of our love. So this is the Panchatattva mantra. Different personalities in our lives will have acted in above capacities to assist us to develop in Krishna consciousness. So this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Lila 7166. Vanditera Saujanya Brahmanyata Guna Drada Prema Mudra Loke Karila Kyapana. Gadadhar Pandit is celebrated all over the world for his gentle behavior, his Brahminical attributes, and his steady love for Sri Chaitanya. As Radha and Krishna have very different personalities, so do Gaur and Gadadhar. Gadadhar was very serious, self-composed, peaceful, renounced, humble, fond of solitude. This was his mood. On the other hand, in his childhood, Gauranga would act very fickly, unsteady, mischievous, and whimsical. Totally different personalities. Just Radha and Krishna have totally different personalities. When they were studying in school, Gaura, he would disturb Gadadhar with illogical questions and arguments, whose sophistry was meant to baffle Gadadhar and disturb his studies. So in the beginning, they were always together. And then when they were studying, Gadadhar would be always harassed by Gaura, who would engage in philosophical, nonsensical debates. As a result, Gadadhar tried to keep Gauranga at a distance, but he could not bear to keep aloof from the Lord. Gadadhar Pandit would soon preach to the Lord, and he would say to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why all this philosophical talk? Why not become a devotee of Krishna? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, Gadadhar, soon I will become such a great Vaishnava that even Brahma and Shiva will come to me and bow down. So, Gadadhar's initiation, or Gauranga's initiation. Ishwarapuri came to Navadvip one time and was very affectionate to Gadadhar and won his heart. So this is before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took initiation. Gauranga returned to Navadvip from Gaya after taking initiation from Ishwarapuri. Day and night he would float in the ocean of Krishna Prem. Seeing the wonderful tears of ecstasy, Gadadhar found himself also overwhelmed with ecstasy. From then on, Gadadhar Pandit found it difficult to give up the Lord's association, even for an hour. So this is when the change of mood took place in Gauranga. And Gadadhar was just praying for that mood to come, which he did. Gauranga would ask, Gadadhar, where is Shyam Sundar? Where is that Lord of Vrindavan? And then the Lord would begin to weep. Gadadhar was stunned, could not understand what answer to give. With great reverence, he humbly submitted, Krishna is in your heart. Upon hearing this, Gauranga began tearing at his chest, but Gadadhar quickly restrained his hands from doing any damage. This is the reason Gadadhar appeared. So that is why he came, because he knew that when Gauranga would take the mood of Radharani, it would be very difficult for Gauranga to contain his ecstasy, because Radharani's ecstasy is very, very deep, even deeper than Krishna's omniscience, which is incredible. The Lord said, Gadadhar, let go of my hands. If I cannot see Krishna, I would not be able to maintain my life. Gadadhar said, if you just remain patient, Krishna will surely reveal himself. He will surely come here before long. With this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would become pacified. Seeing these pastimes of Gaura Gadadhar, Sachi Devi Mata, Sachi Mata, thought to herself with great satisfaction, this boy Gadadhar is very intelligent. I need not fear for Gaura Hari's sake. Sachi Mata said to Gadadhar, Gadadhar, you must always stay by the side of my son, Gaura Hari. And of course, he was very happy with that instruction. One day in the house of Shuklambara Brahmachari, the Lord speaking about Krishna, the Lord was speaking about Krishna. Gadadhar became overwhelmed with ecstasy, began crying out loudly, weeping. Gadadhar asked, who is that within the house who is weeping so intensely? Shuklambar Brahmachari said, it is your Gadadhar. The Lord said, Gadadhar, you are the most fortunate. From your early childhood, you have been a determined devotee of Krishna. My own birth was useless. This is the Lord. Because of all my sinful karma, I could not attain Krishna. Saying this, the Lord embraced Gadadhar in great ecstatic love. Advaitacharya revealed to Gadadhar who Gauranga is when one day at his home he started to offer arti to Gauranga. Gadadhar was completely convinced. When the Lord was performing his Navadvip Leela, his chief assistant was Gadadhar. One day the Lord was wandering by the banks of the Ganga. When he came upon a small forest grove and sat down, he became absorbed in remembering the Vrindavan pastimes. Mukunda Dutt began sweetly singing songs in Parvarag. Gadadhar, after gathering flowers in the forest, decorated the Lord's neck with a garland. Just as formerly in Vrindavan, Sri Radha used to decorate Lord Krishna. In the same way, Gadadhar decorated the holy form of Lord Gauranga. Gauranga sat Gadadhar down and Sri Advaitacharya performed the arti to the two of them. Sri Nityananda Prabhu was seated on the left of them. One time, Pundarik Nidyavidi came to Navadvip. At that time, Mukundat intimated to Gadadhar that there was a Vaishnava worth seeing. When Gadadhar Pandit came before Pundarik, he saw that he appeared to be a great materialist because he was wearing very rich clothing and jewelry. And also he was engaged in some pastimes. I think he was, I can't remember exactly actually. Anyway, Gadadhar Pandit thought, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, how can he be such a great devotee? He looks like a materialist. His faith was somewhat damaged seeing this. He said to himself, Mukunda Dutt, knowing the mind of Gadadhar, sweetly sang a verse about Krishna Lila. When Pundarik heard this verse, he began crying, Krishna, Krishna. He fell upon the ground in ecstasy. Realizing he had committed a great offense, Gadadhar Pandit accepted. Then he surrendered onto Pundarik Nidyavidi and he accepted mantra initiation from Pundarik. And who is Pundarik? Actually, he's regarded to be Rishabhanu Maharaj, the father of Radharani in Krishna Lila. So it's very natural for Gadadhar to accept Rishabhanu or Pundarik Vidyanidhi as the spiritual master. Once Gauranga started worshipping Shaligram Shila, he was reminded of Krishna because Shaligram is black, Krishna is black. So he would cry and with his tears, he would bathe the Shaligram. He would do Abhishek of the Shaligram. So then Gauranga decided that that's not the right way to do Abhishek. So he gave that Shila to Gadadhar because Gadadhar was qualified to worship Krishna. Another name for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Gadadhar Pandit, the life and soul of Gadadhar Pandit. No one can say how merciful the Lord is to Gadadhar Pandit, but people know the Lord as Gadadhar Gaura, the Lord Gauranga of Gadadhar Pandit. Gauranga took sannyas. He went to Jagannath Puri. Later, Gadadhar Pandit also took sannyas and he went to Jagannath Puri to be with Chaitanya. Gadadhar accepted Kshetra sannyas, which means a renunciate who never leaves the holy dham. So there's many different types of sannyas. This is one, Kshetra sannyas. They would stay in the holy place and never leave. That's the vow they would take. But when the Lord made his pilgrimage to Vrindavan, Gadadhar Pandit wanted to break his vow and go with Gauranga to Vrindavan. But the Lord forbade him. He said, no, you can't break your sannyas, your Kshetra sannyasa. Wow. Gauranga asked Gadadhar to do three things. Give initiation to deserving souls. Gadadhar was very, very humble. He didn't want to give initiation, but Gauranga asked him, please, give shelter to the deserving souls. Teach Bhagavatam every day and serve the deity of Tota Gopinath with full love and devotion. So this deity of Tota Gopinath, we'll have a look in a few minutes. Still there in Jagannath Puri. Very beautiful deity. There he is. And he's about the only deity who is seated, cross-legged. And the reason for that, we probably come to it later, was when Gadadhar was in quite old age, he couldn't stand to serve the Lord. So the Lord sat to be garlanded by Gadadhar. And he stayed in his sitting position. So this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 24.313. Aham vedmi ashukko veti vyaso veti na veti va bhaktya bhagavatam gran na budhyana cha tikayam. Lord Shiva said, I may know. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vasudeva, said, Vasudeva may know. Vyasadeva may know, or may not know the Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are qualified people, right? Shiva is saying they may know, they may not know. On the whole, Bhagavatam, the spotless Quran, can be learned only through devotional service, not by material intelligence, speculative methods, or imaginary commentaries. Very powerful verse. So Bhagavatam can only be understood through the devotee, through bhakti. So this is the seated position. As you can see, he's seated in a lotus. His feet are on his thighs here. Every day, Gauranga would go to Tota Gopinath and Gadadhar recited the Bhagavatam to Gauranga for 3 hours daily. So even Gauranga would listen to Bhagavatam from Gadadhar, the devotee. And they recited the pastimes of Dhruv and Prahlad 108 times. This is incredible. Incredible. Why Gadadhar explained to Gauranga? Only a devotee understands Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the verse we just did. Tota Gopinath is a very ancient deity. When Brahma chanted the Brahma Samhita to Lord Vishnu, that time of creation, it was in the presence of this deity. It's incredible. And why is the deity sitting? When Gauranga merged with Tota, Gadadhar aged very quickly. He couldn't decorate Tota Gopinath. Krishna decided to sit down for Radha or Gadadhar. Gadadhar stayed after Gauranga left to wait to teach the Bhagavatam to Srinivasacharya. But Srinivasacharya was a little late. He met Gadadhar, but the Bhagavatam that Gadadhar Pandit had was very old. So he asked Srinivasa, go and get another Bhagavatam. But by the time he came back, Gadadhar left. So then Srinivasacharya learnt from Jiva Gosai. What's the difference between Radha and Gadadhar? There's no difference between Gadadhar Pandit and Srimati Radharani. But the activities are different in Krishna's pastimes and in Gaura's pastimes. In Gaura Leela, Gadadhar Pandit is in the mood of a servant. In Krishna Leela, Radharani, yes, in the mood of devotee, but she has a very different bhav. different mood, which is that Krishna is mine. It's not that I am Krishna's, but the other way around. Krishna is mine. No gopi, including Chandavali, Lalita, and Vishaka, can experience him the Radharani's Mandakya Mahabhav. Krishna experiences the ecstatic, loving moods of Rudha and Adiruddha, but not Madannakya Bhav, which is that meeting in separation. How even Krishna may be present in front of Radharani, yet she is thinking, no, he's gone to Mathura. But he's in front of her. But she's still thinking, no, she's in the mood of separation from Krishna. That mood only Radha has. Even Krishna doesn't possess that mood. Gadadhar Pandit, on the other hand, was Madannakya Mahabhav. In Gaura Leela, however, it is covered so that he can help Krishna to play the part of Srimati Radharani. In the form of Gadadhar Pandit, Srimati Radharani is looking and examining. He's examining the mood of Mahaprabhu. If there's something missing in Krishna as Mahaprabhu, his enjoyment or ecstasy, she assists Gauranga. Because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, acting in the mood of Radharani, Gadadhar Pandit did not act in the mood of Radharani, because there can only be one Radharani. He understood this is Krishna's time. This is Krishna's opportunity to relish the loving ecstasy of Srimati Radharani. So I will keep my mood of Radha in the background and just support him in his experience of Radha Bhav. So this was Gadadhar Pandit's main reason to come as Gadadhar. It is also said that if Gadadhar Pandit had manifested the nature or feature of Srimati Radharani, then Krishna, who was trying to absorb himself in the mood of Radharani, would have become attracted to the Radha outside of him and wouldn't have been able to maintain his inner mood as Radha. So Gadadhar Pandit, to facilitate Lord Chaitanya in his pastimes, played the perfect role to complement and support the Lord, that of the perfect Brahman, very gentle, very submissive, very scholarly, and very sober. So this is Gaur Gadadhar. And that's the end of the pastimes. Any questions, any comments? Amazing personality. So nice to be able to remember Gadadhar and Gauranga on this day today. Hey, Gaur Gadadhar ki. Yes, Nariman.
How old was he when he passed away?
He wasn't very old, but he aged very fast. Within like maybe 1 or 2 years, he aged like 20 years because he was missing Lord Chaitanya. So he aged very fast, and then he left. Thank you, Nanivan. Okay, so Gadadhar Pandit ki jai, Go Gadadhar ki jai.